Share this with someone who has a child.
You know, for years when I was a board-certified emergency medicine physician working in the ER, I really thought that the only thing in a vaccine was a little dead or attenuated virus and a little bit of normal saline. It wasn't until September of 2000 that I actually read a package insert. And when I actually read a package insert and started researching all the different vaccines, I was mortified that if a child gets all of the vaccines in the entire schedule, they get almost 13,000 micrograms of aluminum and they get almost 600 micrograms of mercury, plus over 200 different chemicals. And I had no idea. So that's why they've never been proven to be safe, and why giving your child a vaccination is like injecting foreign matter into a little baby that's the most precious little thing in your life.
Share this with someone who has a child.
You know, for years when I was a board-certified...
Do not cut your grass. You probably have medicine growing outside in your yard and you don't even know it. All of this is medicinal. All of it. This plant right here is called yellow dock. It is a great liver detox. This plant right here is dandelion, also a great liver detox and whole body detox. This plant right here is called chicory. It is also good for your digestive system, and it also makes a good coffee substitute. If you're looking to stop bleeding, this plant right here called fleabane is a great plant to apply to your poultice to help stimulate blood clotting. And then right next to it, we have plantain, which is another great plant for skin issues. It helps with cuts, bruises, bug bites, literally anything for your skin. This plant is the GOAT. Now, if you want something that will knock you out after a long day or take that pain away, this right here is called wild lettuce. And if you're new here, I'm an herbalist, and on this page I provide Black and Indigenous herbal knowledge, facts, and history, and that's what you're into. Go ahead and give me a follow. All right, now I can keep going, so y'all let me know. Should we do a part 2?
Shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that root well. Peace and salutations to the Akim that's pushing his word, the truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, waking up the hopeful elect and risking their lives and freedoms to do so, definitely more so now than ever before. This is the brother Zion Amath from the GMS Detroit by Camp, and this is going to be a lesson, all right, dealing with, basically the contrast, all right, of Harmaceutical, all right, drugs, all right, by way of the FDA, all right, Food and Drug Administration, versus naturally, occurring herbs out of the earth, and we should know what's better for us. But if you don't, all right, things that naturally grow out of the earth, that's already here, that doesn't have to be falsified, that doesn't have to be mixed and concocted, all right, in some lab or what have you, all right, those are the things you want to take. Those are the things that are for your well-being, the things that Esau Edom creates in his laboratories and use you as the guinea pig, the test dummy, all right, are harmful unto you, all right? They're harmful unto you because we're dealing with the so-called white man here, Esau Edom, all right, who is our natural-born enemy, all right? But it's hard for the majority of our people to believe that or to consider it because they don't know the Bible, they don't understand the scriptures, all right? They don't know how Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai set everything up, all right? The Lord wouldn't put us here, all right, and have us incur these different diseases and not have a solution, all right, in the need, in the event that we may need it, all right? He's not going to just leave us comfortless, all right, in any way, shape, form, or fashion, Wisdom comes from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, all right? if he created you, he knows everything about, okay, obviously how the body works, all right, you know, and what can make it whole again, all right, as opposed, all right, to the pharmaceutical, all right, industry, right? They're set up to basically make merchandise of you, you know, because every prescription that they prescribe you, you know, that costs money, right? You may not have to pay the whole thing outright because, you know, due to insurance, you know, you may pay a percentage of copay, right, or whatever, but nonetheless, they still getting you, because even if they don't get you on the front end, they know that in process of time, you taking these different, you know, scripts, all right, from them, it's only going to basically make your body, you know, weaker and weaker, all right? It's no coincidence you've seen the commercials, right? Any and everything that they create, you know, they try to do a quick 20-30 second soundbite, all right, concerning all the side effects, right? Why is it that everything that Esau creates has a side effect? You know, what's up with that? You know what I mean? You can't create just one thing to where it actually deals with the actual problem, right, that you're concerned with. Like, no. All right, no, that's not how he operates. All right, he looks at his so-called patients as customers, you know, and the hustle is to get you on one prescription drug, all right, till they get you on 10 or more, you know, where you're just well enough to keep coming to him, you know what I'm saying, but you'll never be well enough to, you know, basically be on your own and operate. And that's all set up by design, all right? The house was just a revolving door, you know? So I just want to get a few precepts to highlight that point. So this is just, as we always bring out, what's that, Job? This is Job. Should be the 13th chapter. Okay. This is Job 13 and verse 4, and it reads, "But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value." All right? We often bring this out concerning the so-called white man. All right? Because, you know, they'll dub themselves as physicians, as doctors. All right? Which the word doctor, in fact, actually means to falsify. All right? But none of these white coats, right, never have the answers, right? Never have the solutions as to what can make you whole, you know, because they don't study diet. They don't study, you know, I'm trying to be careful how I say things, but this is not medical medical advice, by the way. This is just for educational purposes only, all right? But they don't study, you know, things that grow out of the earth, you know, and how it you know, deals with the body. Shoot, oftentimes these doctors, they're offered bonuses, all right, to push certain so-called, you know, just prescriptions, you know. You know, they get a kickback for, you know, pushing out, you know, certain things, right, by way of these pharmaceutical, you know, manufacturers, all right? Because you got to understand, a lot of these meds, you know, are on the stock exchange, and or they have stockholders, right, investors that's involved, and they want a return on their money. So they'll basically set up salesmen, all right, to promote, all right, certain prescriptions to these doctors, and in the event that they get off whatever the quota is, right, they get a bonus for that. All right, so these are just, they ain't no different than the streets. You got street pharmacists, but then you got these white coats on the inside of these different clinics, hospitals. All right, that's just what it is. And in some cases, they think that they're doing well by you. All right, it's not until they have been doing their profession for some years that they realize that that's not the case. But yeah, he's a physician of no value. You know what I'm saying? Because the more that he tries to so-called help you, the more that he's hurting you. Right? Again, due to the these side effects they throw off the basically rhythm of your body. A lot of these different scripts, they thin your blood, or they may clot your blood, right? Speed up your heart rate, make you throw up, vomit, make you incontinent, make you to where you can hold your bowels, or you may be constipated. You know what I'm saying? It just you're all over the place. Headaches, migraines, you name it. You know what I'm saying? And it's just the fact of the matter is that these things do more harm than good. That's why I played the first video at the opening of this. I opened up with that first clip, all right, concerning these different vaccine protocols that they put in your children, right? The stuff that they put in your children is enough to kill a man. It's only it's a miracle, right? That an infant is able to survive all that. But then also, it's no mystery when you hear things like this. It's no mystery to why children have develop, right, different mental disorders, right? What is it? ADHD, ADD, right? Or just straight up become how they say retarded, slow of mind. You know what I'm saying? You hear many stories of that, to where the parents know that their child was just fine prior to the fact of taking these different protocols that they suggest, and over time they notice their child, not responding, not being as active, being slow of mind, right? Not full of life and vibrant like they once were. So, hey, the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Now, as opposed to, we'll get this, I just had it, but, what is that, Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. The Lord originally meant for us to, consume foods from the earth, i.e. produce, fruit, veggies, right? That's the definition of food, all right? To where it's gonna nurture your body, it's gonna give you energy, it's gonna fortify you, it's gonna give you certain minerals and nutrients that the body needs, all right, to sustain life, right? So real quick, this is Sirach 38, and I start at verse 1, and he reads, "Honor a physician what the honor due unto him, for the uses which ye may have of him. For Yahweh have created him, God, in different camps, right, amongst, GMS, you got certain brothers that's into, the herbs or whatnot, things that grow from the earth, or they just seem to have a knack or a skill set, a passion, right, for dealing with the herbs. Or brothers that know things that can get you together, you know what I'm saying? Relatively quickly too. Without the side effects. Hey, the worst case scenario is that that the herbs that you may take, all right, that's from the earth, all right, if it don't work, more times than not, it won't harm you. You know what I'm saying? It won't harm you. And that's the thing. It's a guarantee if you take the Harmaceutical, right, meds, that it's like just this look, you know something coming. You know it's going to be something. Whether you're nauseated, like I say, a migraine, a headache, constipated all of a sudden, you're irritable, herbs actually make you feel like refreshed or rejuvenated more times than not. You see? And the Lord creates, physicians, brothers that know the herbs, all right, for that purpose. All right? Jake is always quick. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to the doctor, but you just, when you suggest certain things to Jake, all right, dealing with the herbs, it's always the excuse, oh, I need to go research that, I need to go look that up. But right, in the contrast to the white coat, all right, in these different clinics, these hospitals, they don't contest anything that they're saying, right? And that shows that in a roundabout way, our people worship so-called white men. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't give them no lip, right? You're not, right? You ain't researching. You ain't saying, wait, I need to look that up. You willingly, accept it. And just as a side note, all right, characteristics like that lets us know, the type of people that's going to take the MOTB. But anyhow, reading on here, it says, for the Most High, cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king. The skill of the physician shall lift up his head, and the sight of great men he shall be in admiration. God. And that's how it be too. Like, when a brother know them herbs, like, brother, I need to get with you. You know what I'm saying? I got this going on. I got that going on. What you think about this? What do you suggest? You know what I'm saying? And, you embrace that information. You're like, damn, I need to hear this. I need to know this. The water for, educate me on X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? It says, the skill of the physician, it says, verse 4, the Lord hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. Kind. Exactly. If you got any sense, if you got any good decision-making skills, all right, you would try, all right, different things that come from the earth. That's why I showed the following video, all right. Lo and behold, that there's a lot of food, a lot of things that can help us, whether it's, blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar levels. There's a lot of things right in your own backyard, literally, right, that can get you together. You know what I'm saying? They can help aid with certain things. But you have Esau, he puts it under the classification of, if it ain't grass, it's weed. So, kill it. Get you some Roundup, get you some weed killer, and just kill it so you can have a nice green lawn, right? Whole time you cutting up, you're doing away, you're destroying, all right, things that can help you, i.e., right, namely dandelions, right? Dandelions naturally grow every year, right, as the spring is coming in, or rather, like between spring and summer, let's say, right? And not even knowing whole time that's a herb, all right, that and I felt it real quick. I think it was dealing with cholesterol, but let me find out. Let's see, dandelion. Here you go, dandelion root benefits. Let's just see, right? Dandelion root offers various potential health benefits, right, including supporting the liver, kidney function, aiding in digestion, which, all right, just as a people, we have poor, right, digestion. You know what I'm saying? Because one, our people just scarf down food. They don't chew their food, properly, right? And a lot of things that you're eating is a little garbage, all right? A lot of this stuff is not to be ingested, all right? Case in point, McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people still eat McDonald's in 2025, right? And sure, we've seen the test to where people are like, store a hamburger in a bag and leaving in the closet, for 5-10 years. You take that thing out, and that thing has not decomposed, it hasn't molded, it hasn't rotted at all. So how you think that looks in your system? You know what I'm saying? That thing is not breaking down, right? And it just, kind of just sticks to your intestinal wall. That's not good, right? Anything that you ingest, you're supposed to eliminate, right? But reading on, it says, and aiding digestion and acting as a diuretic. It's also rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Some research suggests it may help regulate blood sugar, which is highly important, right? Because most of our people, again, when they get up, chiefly in their maybe upper 30s, lower 40s, you start developing, becoming diabetic. You know what I'm saying? I forget the stages right now, but I think it's 4 stages. But yeah, your insulin levels are all out of whack. Blood sugar levels all out of whack, right? To eating all these synthetic chemicals, chiefly sugar. All right, it's not wrong with having sugar, but the sugar that you would want to have, right, is from your fruits. Fruits have naturally occurring sugar in it, glucose, right, fructose, right, and that as opposed to, right, high fructose corn syrup and all those other toasts, sucralose and dextrose, that's synthetic, right? Your body don't know how to, deal with that, all right? In fact, it's your body metabolizes it as a drug. In reality, that's why a lot of people are, fidgety, right? Nerves all bad, right? Can't sit still, or brain fog, you can't think clearly, or you fatigue easily. Oftentimes, it's due to just something as simple as these this false sugar out here, domino and all that BS. reading on here, it says, where we at? Got some research suggests it may help regulate blood sugar, lower cholesterol, even possess cancer-fighting properties. Dandelions, imagine that, right? All over the earth is dandelions growing everywhere. Like I say, we just starting to really blossom in spring, so you can literally walk right outside, pick some dandelions, clean them up, right? Maybe boil them, make a tea out of it, and do your body some good, right? So, just some food for thought there. But, let's go back. Read a little bit more here. It says, was not the water made sweet with wood, that the virtue thereof might be known? And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. With such doth he heal men, and taketh away their pains. That's absolutely correct. God. Again, a brother that's into the herbs. I know how the body works. Know how the body reacts to certain herbs. Putting a concoction together, right? Because you have some other, certain herbs. You put them together, it's just more impactful, right? Right, and we have Akim, all right, that's very knowledgeable, right, of this information. That's why the scriptures say, honor a physician. Big that brother up. Encourage that brother, support that brother. You know what I'm saying? Because you have certain Akim that make they may have like a small business, all right, dealing with the earth. So you better off dealing with that brother than, again, going to the hospital. You know what I'm saying? That's just the fact of the matter. So I'm going to basically leave it there. Just a little tidbit, all right, concerning the pharmaceutical industry versus, right, natural medicines out of the earth, all right, that's naturally occurring, right? All you got to do is let the Lord cook. All right, you just let things grow, let things be as it is, and you can benefit from that. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim that's pushing his word and truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom.